This story is about a guy named Chung Yan, an underpaid engineer who died from the stress of his workload and finds himself reincarnated into the body of a prince. In this new world, witches exist with supernatural powers, and Chung Yan plans to use his engineering skills and the witch's powers to advance in this primitive society. His new life begins abruptly when he hears someone calling him to wake up. As he opens his eyes, he discovers himself seated on a chair, bewildered by his unfamiliar surroundings. He looks around and sees these oddly dressed ladies. When he looks in front, he sees an entire town gathered around what looks like an execution platform. Naturally, the poor guy's mind is blown by this bizarre scene. I mean, just a while ago, he was probably crunching numbers or drafting some blueprints, not dodging beheadings. Suddenly, a bald guy addresses him as Prince, and reminds him that the time for the execution has arrived and he has to announce his ruling soon. The boy remains clueless for a moment about what's happening, but when he focuses, memories of the body's previous owner flood his mind instantly. Apparently, he's the fourth prince of Grey Castle, known as Roland Wimbledon. He recalls his father assigning all his siblings to various territories under his control, with the promise that in 5 years, the one who governs best will inherit the kingship. But the boy faces a big problem. He's just an ordinary guy, while his siblings are a formidable bunch, giving them an edge in this competition. The first prince has exceptional martial skills. The second excels in finance. The third princess commands a strong following, and the fifth princess is highly intelligent. Meanwhile, Roland, as the fourth prince, seems to be only a waste of oxygen thus far, with no notable talents. To make matters worse, he's been assigned to a desolate border town, God-forsaken city, where streets are filled with filth and neglect. Here, he must interact with the locals and somehow turn this dismal place into a thriving territory. While feeling sorry for his situation, the old man reminds him once again to make his announcement quickly. That's when the boy realizes he has a witch to execute today. The crowd is restless, eager to witness the demise of this alleged witch, whom they believe to be a spawn of the devil and wholly deserving of death. The boy is shocked by the bullcrap spewed by these ragtag individuals and deeply disappointed by their uncivilized behavior, which infuriates him. In frustration, he flings the paper from the old man's hands away and with an annoyed expression, orders everyone to release the witch immediately. The crowd goes quiet, clearly unhappy with the prince's sudden decision. After seeing the public reaction, he lets out a tired sigh, saying he's beat and suggests they move the trial to another day. The old man tries to talk him around. Chief Knight Carter Lannis steps forward, urging him to think it over. He insists they must execute the witch right away to prevent other witches from trying to save her. The prince can't help but chuckle at the sight of this tough knight, built like a bull, looking so scared of witches. Our hero then starts to head down, casually pointing out that if more witches showed up, they could squash them all in one go. The knight has no clue how to handle this, and the scene shifts to the fourth prince's residence in Bordertown South Castle. Outside, the grumpy knight stands while our hero slams the door in his face. The prince lets out a sigh at first, but then suddenly freaks out because he hasn't dealt with this many people in his entire life. Even after his meaningless death, he's not complaining, because he is grateful for this second shot in life, and he's dead set on fully stepping into Prince Roland's shoes and getting to the bottom of things with the witch. The scene then shifts to the dungeon in the border town, where he's about to meet this witch despite all the warnings from his knights about the potential dangers ahead. The boy just laughs it off, poking fun at his chief knight for being scared like a coward of a little girl. But the knight nervously insists that witches are minions of the devil. Unfazed, our hero keeps on walking until he finally comes face to face with the supposed witch. The witch stands up and steps forward, and our hero starts to blush a bit at the sight of her beauty. But his noisy knight immediately butts in, telling the prince to back off from the witch. Our hero just casually puts a reassuring hand on the knight's shoulder and steps forward again, asking the girl her name. Once again, the annoying loudmouth interrupts before they can even exchange pleasantries. Finally fed up with the knight's constant yammering, our hero gives the shiny armored guy a gentle bonk on the head out of frustration and tells him to stay the heck away while he's talking. Turning back to the girl, our hero asks if she's cool with sharing her name. She decides to spill the beans. Turns out her old man was working in the mines when a cave-in trapped him. Some greedy miner tried to loot his stuff in the chaos. She rallied the neighbors to help free her dad, but her uncle had to throw down with that Baldy McShine. Just as he was about to finish her uncle off, she intervened. She extended her hand and unintentionally did something she never wanted to do. The man burned to crisp, leaving nothing but ashes. This was the day her neighbors labeled her the evil witch, even though she begged them not to spill her secret about witchcraft. And the worst part of this sob story is that her own dad ratted her out. Then this same old consultant guy shows up and suggests our hero just roast the lady before she pulls anything sketchy. But my guy tells him to chill because he's curious to see this witchcraft in action. The lady's baffled that someone actually wants her to unleash her powers, but our hero's all cool about it, pushing her to just go for it. She reminds him that her powers are blocked by this locket around her neck, and asks if he's really up for her taking it off, warning him she might cause chaos. But then he grabs the locket chain, breaks it, and tosses the locket away like it's nothing. "Show us your damn powers already," he tells her. And so, the fire starts to crackle around her, and this macabre dance of flames just leaves our hero's eyes wide open, and the entire prison cell lights up with the light. The prince freaks out while the woman casually strolls out after melting the prison bars. The knight bolts in the opposite direction, but our guy is just blown away by her fiery powers. Finally, he gets why his consultant said fire can't touch her, because she's basically fire herself. Once the flames die down, the former engineer in him sparks with a genius idea. He's not about to waste such epic magic without using it to revolutionize things. When she asks him to end her life because she's shown him what he wanted to see, he surprises her. He throws his coat over her burnt clothes and tells her she's hired. Prince Ronald, drawing on his past life knowledge, declares that she's essentially a perpetual motion machine, able to generate firepower seemingly out of nothing. However, not everyone shares the prince's visionary thinking. The consultant is utterly annoyed by Ronald's decision. He shouts, reminding him of the witch's ability to obliterate anyone with a mere gesture. Moreover, he warns that hiring her could attract the attention of the Witch Cooperation Association, potentially leading to their destruction. But Ronald dismisses the old man's concerns, instructing him to prepare a work contract. He then starts walking away, casually mentioning that he intends to establish a working relationship with the witch, Anna, and further orders the consultant to arrange accommodation for her as well. Back at the administrative office in Bordertown Castle, the old man reports he's taken care of everything as instructed, but he's not sure about sparing the witch's life. The prince cuts him off, saying not to question his decisions. To him, witches aren't some monsters, but the old man's still not convinced. That is when our hero lays it out straight, reminding him that Bordertown is a total mess, and he doesn't have his brother's riches or his siblings' smarts. So winning here is a long shot, and he's got to try something out of the box to claim the victory. The old man's impressed by the prince's determination and agrees to arrange a meeting with Miss Anna. Meanwhile, Miss Anna is getting a thorough wash and cleanup, and once she's looking all cute and tidy in some nice clothes, she's escorted to meet our hero. The knight shows our hero the cottage where Anna will be staying. The prince is pretty impressed with the cottage, especially since it was prepared on such short notice. Just then, the knight announces Anna's arrival. When our hero turns around, he sees her in a maid's attire, looking absolutely stunning. He's pleasantly surprised and amazed at how well the clothes turned out. He asks her if she's comfortable in her new outfit. But instead of being happy, she starts a tirade, questioning why he's giving shelter to a murderer like her, someone tainted with evil and loathed by everyone. The prince surprises her by stating that he doesn't see things that way. He dismisses all the talk about evil witches and devil's powers as nonsense. He explains that people are just scared because they don't understand her significance to society. He extends his hand, telling her he accepts her despite her flaws. He promises to teach her how to use her powers for good and to make a positive impact on the world. Once inside the empty cottage, Anna immediately starts practicing, unleashing her fiery powers. However, as flames scatter around uncontrollably, our hero realizes teaching her magic control is going to be tougher than he thought. On top of that, there's the issue that every time she uses her powers, her clothes get incinerated, leaving her embarrassed and naked. Both of them feel awkward, but our hero is relieved he had prepared multiple sets of clothes ahead of time. Just then, the old man bursts in with urgent news. While gasping for breath, he shocks everyone by reporting that their patrols have spotted signs of demon activity months earlier than expected this year. Of course, our hero has no clue about these months of demons, and seeing everyone terrified only piques his curiosity further. The old man reveals to the clueless prince that every winter, after the first snowfall and when the sun sets, the gates of hell open in the Dragonspine Mountains. Bordertown isn't defensible, so everyone must flee to Longsong Fortress. However, the old man reassures him that his safety is their top priority. Curious, the boy asks if the old man has seen these gates of hell himself. The old man replies no, explaining that it's impossible for them to see such things. The Dragonspine Mountains are not only impassable, but also emit a foul miasma that affects anyone who gets too close, unless they've already fallen into the devil's grasp, meaning only witches can explore the area and see the gates of hell. The prince then wonders if the old man has ever encountered demons. Once again, the answer is no. It's his first time in the central region of Grey Castle, and hardly anyone's ever come face to face with a real demon. Looks like it makes sense to our hero why this place doesn't thrive with a bustling economy, because people always get evacuated at the end of every year. The boy then raises a valid point, which is that if Longsong Fortress can fend off the demons, it means they're not invincible. So keeping that in mind, he is itching to throw down with these demons by himself. The old man is terrified by this plan and explains that Longsong Fortress has massive walls and Duke Rayon's elite troops stationed there. They're formidable, and Border Town is located in the North Slope Mountains, which serve as an early warning system for Longsong Fortress about impending threats. But our hero remains resolute and instructs the old man to gather local soldiers who have experience fighting demons. In the bright day under this gazebo, we see our duo having afternoon snacks, and while they are at it, the prince requests her to tell him something about months of demons. The lady immediately complies. Her tone gets somber as she describes the hellish experience of the months of demons. Unlike big shots like our hero, commoners here deal with this nightmare every single year. She explains that her father, a miner like many others in town, struggles daily to survive. When the months of demons begin, the people of Border Town send their year's mining production to Longsong Fortress in exchange for next year's rations and some gold royals. During this time, everyone takes shelter at Longsong Fortress until winter passes. One year, the months of demons lasted a brutal 4 months straight. City officials at Longsong Fortress said the ore they produced in autumn could only buy 3 months' worth of food. The 4th month's supply had to wait for new ore. But the months of demons lasted another extra month, which trapped the people inside the fortress. And to top it off, the grub from Longsong was divided between people equally, leading to the strong bullying the weak. The prince gets ticked off hearing her sad story, and he straight up tells the lady that no one's gonna suffer through those months of demons again. Leaving the gazebo, our hero asks to meet with the consultant to check on progress. The scene shifts to the Border Town Administrative Office, where Consultant Baroff has brought 3 folks. 2 are soldiers, big shots in charge of the Border Town Patrol and lighting the beacon every year. The third is a hunter who claims he's faced demons before, even bagging one himself. At first, one of the scared soldiers stumbles through his words in front of the prince, muttering gibberish that makes no sense. The prince then nudges the other soldier to speak up. The other one then explains that the demons used to be regular critters in the forest, but the evil miasma turned them into savage beasts. They're tough, but still killable. Once the months of demons wrap up, Longsong Fortress sends out cavalry to mop up any stragglers in the area. That's when the hunter slams his fist on the ground like he's showing off, boasting that those monsters are as easy as slicing cucumbers with his sword, and he's taken down 2 already. The big guy then drops to his knees before our prince. The consultant introduces the hunter as Iron Axe, saying there's gossip he's so tall because of his giant monster blood in his veins from the Mojin clan. Our hero asks him straight up if his stories are true. Iron Axe nods confidently, saying he's already killed a demonic boar and a wolf type. Iron Axe explains how hunters categorize demons. As the guard mentioned, these critters started out as regular animals but went berserk after they got a taste of hell miasma, and which is why they're such a pain. The wolf type is sneaky and lightning fast, and the wild boar has a tough back which is so thick that even crossbows struggle to pierce it. The prince quickly realizes that these demons are essentially animals, but with enhanced traits. The hunter agrees, saying they don't pose much of a threat. However, he gets serious when discussing hybrid types, calling them the true spawn of the devil. He explains that these monsters are horrifying creations that only hell could concoct. Describing one hybrid, the hunter mentions it had the body and legs of a rugged beast, but also sported huge wings for short-distance flight. What's more, its senses were keen, always pinpointing its prey no matter how well hidden. The hunter barely survived by diving into the Redwater River before losing consciousness. It seems our hero can handle the regular monsters with big walls, but he's stumped on how to deal with those that can fly. He then asks his knight if those hybrid demon types are supposed to be rare, and the knight nods firmly, saying during any months of demons, you'll usually get 2 or 3 of those bad boys popping up. It's enough to give Longsong Fortress a serious headache. The boy finally connects the dots. With a bang on the table, he announces he's staying put in Border Town for the winter. Everyone's jaws drop at his decision, and the knight scrambles to convince him they're outnumbered by monsters. Our hero fires back, suggesting they build a wall from the foot of North Slope Mountain to the Redwater River. But the knight ain't buying it, and waves it off as a pipe dream, saying it'd take them a lifetime to build such a wall. My guy leans back, telling the knight to chill. He promises if he can't get the wall up fast, he'll retreat like everyone else, because he is not about to throw his life away in this place either. The riled-up knight finally calms down, pleading his loyalty to save our hero at any costs. At the bustling Grey Castle port of Clearwater, we catch a glimpse of the third princess. She remarks on the chilly ocean breeze, signaling winter's approach, then turns to her knight, Rayon, asking about the return of their black sail fleet. He assures her they should be back at port in 3 days if all goes well. The princess notes this is their last expedition of the year and hopes it brings some nice surprises. Back in the palace, the knight wonders how she was already geared up for the throne competition her father sprung on them. She admits she didn't see it coming, but she figures it's all about paving the way for the king's favorite son to take the throne. Still, She laughs it off, saying being good at running things doesn't automatically mean the second son will win. She tells her knight to dig deeper and understand why she's sending out the Black Sail Fleet on this big expedition. After mulling it over, the knight realizes her fleet isn't just about making money, it's about gaining serious influence and power. Since launching the Black Sail Plan, she's rounded up skilled sailors, tough fighters, and key allies to back her play. This is Garcia Wimbledon, the third princess of Grey Castle. She is using smarts and strategy to secure her shot at the throne. The princess then asks about how their plot to off the fourth prince went down. The knight sighs and says there's been no word from the border, meaning their poison plan probably flopped and the spies they sent to do the job are missing in action. She figures her little bro must have wasted no time offing those spies once they got caught. Looks like the poison actually did its job and killed the fourth prince, but our hero just happened to swap into his body, which is why they think their poison plan tanked. She's now planning to kill the hero once he seeks refuge in Longsong Fortress, and tells her knight to sit tight until then. She also snarks that since the poison didn't do squat, it means that Snake Enbies, who sold them that stuff, was lying about it being colorless and tasteless. And as punishment for deceiving the third princess, she suggests her knight to hang that liar immediately. It's quite funny how she's about to drop the hammer on their reliable poison guy, even though the fourth prince really did kick the bucket from that poison. The next scene shows us Anna setting in the landscape of greenery, and there we meet her teacher Carl, who asks her what she is reading today. Is it poetry, or perhaps history of their church? The girl greets her teacher, and before she can say anything, her innocent image shatters before his eyes. He is left staring with wide eyes, and the next scene takes him to a rowdy crowd accusing his disciple of being a witch and the reincarnation of the devil. Seeing her hanging there, he slaps his hands over his face, jolting awake in his office. Once he's finally awake, he breathes heavily, haunted by the vision of Anna's hanging. He believes that if even a pure-hearted girl like Anna could be called evil, then those greedy administrative officials of Grey Castle must be true demons, born from the depths of hell. He angrily expresses that if they hadn't switched to lower-quality stones just to save a few hundred gold, the theater would never have collapsed, and those innocent victims would still be alive. In his eyes, those corrupt individuals are the ones who truly deserve to be hanged for their heinous acts and corruption. Sadly, this country didn't administer proper punishment to them. Instead, the blame fell unfairly on innocent stonemasons, resulting in harsh taxes, rampant inequality, little rule of law, and even labeling a curious and innocent girl as a demon and sending her cruelly to the gallows. He appeals to God for help in punishing these deserving evil people. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door, and when he opens it, he finds one of his young students, Nana, looking really worried and anxious. The little girl timidly asks if she's going to end up like Anna, hanged. The man quickly reassures her with a pat on the head, promising to protect her no matter what. He strolls through town, thoughts swirling about how the powerful have mistreated the innocent while he stood by. Determined to act this time, he vows not to let another girl suffer like Anna did. His attention is then drawn to a commotion at the town square. People are gathered around the quest board, where they're reading a notice posted by the fourth prince. It calls for workers for construction jobs in the border areas, gravel workers, stonemasons, and more. The notice details everything the applicants need to know. The teacher's eyes widen in shock as he sees the notice signed and stamped with our hero's name. That's when he remembers our hero, the fourth prince. He's heard rumors about the prince having all sorts of unique ideas and a personality that's totally different from everyone else. The prince also doesn't seem to be a big fan of the church, which gives the teacher a bit of hope. But right now, he's worried that supporting Anna, who is a witch, might get him labeled as a witch sympathizer and land him on the gallows as well. He's banking on the idea that if the prince hates the church enough, maybe he also hates their strict laws. That's the only way he sees to protect other girls from facing the church's severe punishments for being witches. We're back with our hero again, and his knight is questioning him about the dimensions of the wall he plans to build. Our hero says it'll be 15 feet tall and 6 feet wide, enough for 4 people to stand side by side on top. The knight then mentions they'll need to dig a trench as deep as a person is tall to stabilize such a massive structure. With the wall being 15 feet tall and 6 feet wide at the top, the base width will need to be doubled for stability. Even with 350 craftsmen working simultaneously on digging and building, they can only promise to finish before next year's months of demons. The prince curiously asks what the main challenge will be, which is taking such a long time. The knight explains that the real issue lies in laying the wall itself. They'll have to carefully select and polish each rock to ensure they fit together properly. Otherwise, the wall won't hold up well. The prince decides to move ahead with his knight's plan to dig the trench and build the wall at the same time. When it comes to laying the wall, he reassures his knight and reveals about Grey Castle's alchemy workshop producing a new thing called cement, which is bound to impress everyone. Naturally, the knight is all ears, because he has never heard of something known as cement in his entire life. In the next scene, we're outside the cement kiln room at Border Town, where we see both of them standing outside of the cottage. The prince explains to us that making cement is pretty straightforward because the raw materials are plentiful here. But the real trick lies in getting the calcination temperature just right. Sadly, he can't recall the exact temperature needed, and there's no way to measure it precisely in this world. Suddenly, the cottage door swings open, revealing Anna. Before the prince steps inside, our hero tells his knight to hang back. It's clear that the prince is using Anna's witch powers to create his cement, and she seems perfectly suited for the task. Before she heads out fully naked, our hero hands over his coat to her once more, and once she is out of the cottage, she eagerly expresses that she has done as her prince had asked of her. Inside, we find a heap of cement on the floor. The boy quickly checks the product to see if their experiment paid off, and decides to give it a try before producing at mass scale. Curiously, Anna asks where he plans to use the cement. The boy explains it can be used for building homes, bridges, roads, and more. He highlights how it will protect them from natural disasters like rain, heat, or snow that could otherwise damage their homes. He gives all the credit for the success of making the cement to Anna, recognizing her crucial role. Outside the cottage, they finally glue a few square boulders together with the cement, and both the knight and the girl are pleasantly surprised by the result. The knight can't help but marvel at this amazing discovery, while our hero inspects closely and is equally surprised that it feels much sturdier than what you would get from compacting ordinary dirt and mud together. The knight even tries to pry the boulders apart, but despite exerting all his force, he can't seem to budge them, let alone unstick them. The prince reminds his knight that he's been underestimating things because this stuff is better made than he originally thought. The knight is also amazed by this fascinating invention of sticky stuff that turns into solid rock in no time. He's pretty confident that with this, they could easily cover the entire border in 5 years. But our guy dismisses the need for such a grand project, saying even the tallest walls can't keep out enemies from within. Their first enemy is the fight against natural disasters to ensure their people don't end up homeless. He's determined to prove to the world that witches are humanity's most productive asset. From the next day in the cottage, the prince got down to mass-producing cement with the help of the workers who responded to the recruitment notice. They hustled to gather essential ingredients and supplies, giving Anna some well-deserved rest. Meanwhile, the prince kicked off the excavation for the city wall's foundation between the North Slope Mountain and the Redwater River. However, things didn't go as smoothly as expected. The knight was impressed that the prince personally visited the construction site and gave the workers a pep talk at the North Slope. He noted their dedication, but the prince grinned sheepishly, admitting that despite their efforts, all they managed to dig was a rough trench at the North Slope, a makeshift drainage ditch rather than the sturdy foundation needed for a city wall. Even though our hero used to geek out over mechanical blueprints, paired with his civil engineer buddy, they made quite the geeky duo. But now, tackling these civil project details is way beyond his expertise, and he's itching for a pro in the field to brainstorm ideas with. Interrupting his moment of contemplation, the consultant points out that a stonemason has responded to their recruitment notice, claiming to have been a member of the Grey Castle Mason Guild. The prince immediately recognizes the guild as a prominent organization in the country, though he's heard they were disbanded due to a construction accident. He then shrugs it off, pointing out that risks are always present in this line of work. He is eager to secure highly talented individuals, and instructs his consultant to bring the stonemason to see him. The next scene takes us to Roland's administrative office in Bordertown. Our hero lounges at his desk, idly passing the time, while Anna sits nearby, absorbed in a book. Finally, the knight arrives with the person our hero has been eager to meet. To our surprise, it's none other than the teacher who had been fretting about his little witches. Before the teacher can start extolling the prince, our hero cuts in, waving off the formalities and telling him to relax. When the teacher's gaze falls upon Anna, he looks completely bewildered, his mind clearly spinning. Meanwhile, both our hero and the knight are totally dumbfounded to see this unexpected meet and greet. Sensing potential trouble, the prince quickly directs the knight to block the door. The knight immediately follows the command, positioning himself at the entrance, ready to not let this threatening man go away. Our hero finds it hard to believe that a random craftsman could end up being a neighbor of Anna. But then, the teacher suddenly falls to his knees, pleading for forgiveness from Anna for not helping her in the times she needed him the most. That is when it becomes clear to the prince that this man poses no threat to her after all. Anna also recognizes her teacher immediately. The prince then instructs the man to stand and demands an explanation about his relationship with Anna. The man immediately pulls himself together and quickly apologizes for causing a scene. He then introduces himself as Carl Van Bate, a former member of the Mason Guild turned teacher in the border town. He reveals that Anna was once his student. Carl further points out that he doesn't really understand why our hero would spare Anna's life. Perhaps he wants her as his lover, but he isn't complaining since being beheaded is still better than being a prince's side chick. Carl is further relieved to see that our hero doesn't believe in witches being incarnations of the devil. After explaining everything thoroughly to the prince, The man further mentions that there's another talented girl like Anna, whom he would like our hero to also keep hidden here in the palace. The prince gladly gives this teacher the green light to bring her here, promising no harm will come to her if she truly is a witch. However, he can't simply take her away from her family, especially since they aren't directly threatening her at the moment. Our guy bursts into happiness inwardly, looking forward to meeting this next witch and discovering her formidable abilities, though outwardly he remains composed and calm. The prince clarifies that he didn't save the girl out of kindness, but because he needs her help. He doesn't believe in those nonsensical tales that portray witch powers as evil. Instead, he sees them as valuable gifts if handled wisely and used responsibly. So whether it's Anna, this other girl Nana, or any other witch, as long as they haven't committed actual crimes, he won't presume them guilty in any way. Once that's out of the way, our hero finally gets down to business and asks the man if he's ever helped build in Greycastle Town. The man nods enthusiastically, saying he's had plenty of experience. The prince then lays out his plan to erect a wall between the foot of the North Slope Mountain and the Redwater River to keep those demonic critters at bay. From now on, this guy's in charge of the whole project. In the next scene, we're in Roland's Palace Gardens in Border Town, where Nana finally pays our hero a visit. She looks a bit nervous at first glance. When the little girl asks if she's really seeing Prince Roland Wimbledon, the prince grins and confirms it's him in the flesh. Nana lights up and introduces herself as Nana Pine. Without missing a beat, Nana dashes over to Anna and starts playing with her like they've been sisters forever. The prince wondering these girls are really young, and yet they are a talented bunch, so he is really looking forward to see what future have store in for them. The boy then turns to the little girl, reminding her that her teacher mentioned she's awakened as a witch. The girl asks if he's going to execute her, but the boy quickly says no, explaining that only criminals with a rap sheet end up facing the gallows or a beheading. The girl insists she's possessed by a devil, which her teacher also confirmed. Anna gives her a reassuring pat on the head, while our hero asks when she first noticed something was up. She explains it all started a week ago, when she saw a bird with a busted leg. Feeling a strong urge to help, something like water blobs popped into her mind and surrounded the bird, and the bird's leg got healed instantly. After hearing her story, the prince tells his knight to go grab a chicken. As the knight heads off to find a healthy one, our hero wonders if her awakened powers might lean towards healing, which is nothing to scoff at. The prince then tells her that if she can save animals like that bird, it means she's actually a good person. The girl agrees, saying their teacher also told them that regular folks fear witches just because they can do things others can't. She insists she's never seen a devil and isn't connected to one either. Our hero believes her right away and gives her a gentle pat on the head, reminding her that the church and even their teacher were tricked by lies. Confused, the girl asks why anyone would lie. The boy explains it's not about good or bad, it's about people trying to make money by spreading fake stories. Once the chicken arrives, the little girl asks the prince to go easy on it. The boy agrees, but tells his knight to hold the chicken tight before giving it a quick whack on the head. The poor bird squawks in pain and flops to the ground. He then turns to the girl and urges her to heal the chicken pronto. She nods, saying she'll do her best. When she lays her hand on it, those watery blobs pop up again, and she gets to work right away. A few hours